everything else is like, oh yeah, because my late fiance, I guess, passed away in that house, and I don't know if anybody else has, but yeah, that was definitely.
Well, I don't think that would be the black thing coming out.
No.
That's a little bit. That's what we're going to talk about when you cross that line.
Okay.
What about you guys?
When I was dreaming, sleeping, I felt somebody on my chest and I couldn't wake up, and I can see a dark figure on top of me holding my chest down, and I woke up. I had to like force myself to wake up, and I was like gasping for air, and then I couldn't go back to sleep for a bit, and yeah, it was like creepy, scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, that's sleep paralysis.
And then in the corner of my eye, I seen a dark figure at my sister's house. He was like wearing a hat and everything else. And I was walking, because I was in the basement with my nieces. I'm looking, it's like, but I don't know if it's anybody that used to pass that.
It can be anybody though.
Yeah.
It could be a grandpa, it could be. That's the thing with ghosts, you don't know for sure what's yours and what could belong to the house or what could be sneaking in.
And my cat, like my grandmother passed away in my room where I was, and then my cat's like looking up there, and then she goes right behind the closet looking for something, and she keeps looking up there, looking in that direction. I was like, what are you looking at? You're like freaking me out, cat. And my cat goes up and she's paws I have a picture of my father, and she's pawing the picture at it.
Oh.
Because I was like, what are you doing?
Is that a coyote or a dog?
That is
Dog.
the dog.
Like,
The
wow,
poor dog.
great visuals. How did I laugh today when you said that about that dog? Oh.
Hey, they neutered him when he was like a month old. Come on. It's not possible. Too much anesthetic there. He's nuts.
Darcy?
I'm not sure. Like, I think we used to have one in my old house, like in my place, because in my son's room specifically, because when we would put him to bed, we got that heavy feeling, and he would wake up all the time and be crying and saying that he would see things. When I was a kid, I didn't necessarily see, but I could sense, or I had like this. At my grandma's house especially, I would be on the top of the stairs, and then it would be like I was floating down them or something like that.
Out of the body, yeah.
Yeah, like an out of body type experience, and like every time I would tell my mom about it, she'd be like, "You're so full of shit. Like, what are you doing?" Right? Like, but it happened repeatedly, so that always kind of stuck with me. But yeah, like that heaviness that you talked about at church, I felt that too. I was kind of like, yeah, like, and then but not that I'm skeptical, I've just never really experienced it. Like, I do think that there are ghosts and spirits and stuff around, and like they show in different ways.
Okay, so most of you know me, so I'm not going to go into the whole spiel of who I am, what I do, or do I have to?
What's your name?
Robyn. Robyn Carissa. Okay, I will. I've been doing this all my life as a business, over 20 years. This part of my world, the ghost tours and stuff like that, and even like hauntings, I only deal with between August and the end of October. And then I'm out, and the rest of my team will deal with it if something pops up.
Except for this year.
Except for this year. Well, since COVID hit, in the 20-some years now that I've been practicing, I've done 3 exorcisms. 2 of them with a priest, 1 of them with another witch. So in all that time. But since COVID hit,
6.
like 1 every 3 months, I've been having to do. So it's definitely changing. Dynamics are changing right now. And people are more vulnerable to the bad side of things. Basically, for the rest of the time, I'm either doing Facebook stuff or I'm doing readings for people or counseling with people and exorcisms. No more.
No, I don't want no more.
Pretty sure that's why I got so sick. But I'll explain exorcisms a little bit too later. But let's start with ghosts. So what are ghosts? It's kind of like class, so you guys gotta be good students. And Roddy was the only one that brought me presents, so.
Spiritual being, like they're just, the soul hasn't gone to the other side.
Sometimes, yeah.
And it's like they're floating, maybe help, I don't know.
So if your dad's passed away.
Yep.
So if you saw your dad in your house, would you think he hasn't crossed over then?
Well, I think I don't know, because he plays with my hair.
Mm-hmm.
He does. And then, right now. So it's like, I don't know.
I'll explain it. What else? What else do you think ghosts could be?
Well, like the evil or the vengeful ones are usually the ones that have died in like a very violent way or had something happen where they're coming back to avenge their death, so to speak.
Some nasty ones.
No?
You're wrong!
I'm wrong.
You were right there, and then you
I'm
read up the
sorry.
word poltergeist.
It's been a while.
Nope,
I've
it's
watched-
okay. This is why I wanted to give the education.
An energy that used to be human.
Well, there's puppies too.
Well,
Kitties. Yeah. So the way that it goes with ghosts, we are all walking ghosts right now. We're just in a body. When our body dies, the spirit comes out, the ghost comes out, and we are a ghost. It's a ball of energy. That's why when, I guess you saw full form, thinking that it was Chelsea, but Chelsea.
I was like, really?
Fuck. But usually you'll see it as orbs, right? Have you guys seen orbs?
Yep.
Yeah. When I'm done yappering, holy fuck, it's been a long 2 weeks. Jesus Christ. And you're taking pictures here and around here, you'll probably catch orbs. Those are ghosts. Don't show Andrea because she'll cry. I'm just kidding. She knows she's haunted. So that's one good way of catching or seeing a ghost. What happens with that ball of energy, usually, if you can be doing lots of pictures, like Andrea usually can, that ball will then transform into what we call an orb streak, which looks like this streak going across the camera. And that's because they're trying to come into full form to show you that they're a ghost. So it's more common to catch that orb than it is the full figure because they vibrate at such a high rate that you can't see it with your eyes normally. You have to have technology to help you see that, unless you're super psychic or can do it yourself. Ghosts come in all forms. Most ghosts are what we just think of like your dad. That they die, cross over, go to the other side, and can come back and forth to play with your hair. And then go back to the other side. There's no it's not like you have to go through the gates of heaven every time. Oh, I gotta go visit Roddy. Gotta go knock on the door to get back into heaven. They've already created their own heaven and just pop in and out, ghosts, like they would if they were alive and visiting, right? That's a normal ghost. That's probably what you have with Scott, right? Then we have what we call earthbound ghosts, though. And the earthbound ghosts usually are more aggressive, I would say. They can be angry, they can be bitter, they can be destructive, but they choose not to cross. So it's kind of like Groundhog Day for them. They're stuck, but by choice, because they don't want to cross over. So just hypothetically, what would you think would be an example of an earthbound ghost?
I don't know. Like serial killer doesn't want to cross over.
Mm-hmm. Scared to go down. There is no down. Where are we at?
In church?
We used to work in churches. A lot of earthbound ghosts are religious people. Nuns, priests, anybody who really in their brain knows or thought before dying that they were sinners and would likely be going to hell. So they choose not to go towards the light because they don't want to go to hell. I can't make a judgment whether she was a good person or a bad person. I mean, if you're involved in that kind of shit, you're not a good person. That's me. But that's an example. Now, people who, like Hitler, and people who directly murdered people, they don't necessarily stick around. They will cross, figure out that they're not going to hell, because they don't. As fucked up as that sounds, they don't. There's no hell. But they have to come back and relearn all the lessons in a really tough way. So they would have to come back in another lifetime and be a victim, kind of thing. I don't actually see a lot of serial killers. Yeah, I see serial killers in people when I do past lives for them, that they've been one, but I don't, like, Ted Bundy doesn't kick around people's homes. It's just not his thing.
Thank God.
Knowing your luck. Knowing your luck. Now, Poltergeist. Everybody is kind of freaked out about that term because of the movie, right? Media has really played on Poltergeist and terms like that to make it extra scary. Poltergeist, we've got Poltergeist in here right now. We've got them out on the land. When my mom, who's dead, or your dad is a poltergeist. My mom is a poltergeist when she turns my shower on. When your dad plays with your hair, he's a poltergeist. All it means is noisy ghost. It means that they can move things, they can play with your hair, they can turn stuff on. It doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that they're more prevalent, that they're making themselves known. So don't get freaked out by that term. Poltergeist, the movie, was based on a real problem, and it was that intense, but totally different than how the movie portrayed it. Tons of movies out now are very realistic. Not realistic, they're true. Like all of the Conjurings, all of the Insidious, all of the Amityville Horrors, the Nuns, all of that. That all really happened. Obviously, when they put you on TV, they make it look different than what it is. So those are good ones to watch, because that shit happens. Does that make sense? The chances of you ever getting hurt by a ghost are slim to none. Have you ever been hurt?
No.
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 Chances of me being hurt are. What are you guys got going on there?
I don't know, someone's bugging me.
No, there's no bugs in here.
I get hurt all the time. I've broken my ankle. I've been physically attacked multiple times. Last night, apparently, I woke up at 2 in the morning, and I said that a demon hand came over the bed and was grabbing my leg. Don't let you sleep. He's been up since 2. So I just go back to bed, and I'm just like, what the fuck? Did you see that? I don't remember saying it, but I clear as day now remember seeing this. I don't know. Not surprising in my household. Like, look at the shit I got in there, and I don't even know I fucking got this shit. So it's not surprising. But that's when we start crossing lines. So ghosts are people who have lived. That's the way it is. When we start talking possessions, exorcisms, those are not from ghosts. Those are from demonic energies. So just like we have good, like we have angels and we have, if that's what you believe, we have the good spirits that help. We also have bad. So angels have never lived. They've never been in human form other than some of the archangels. But they've always been angelic. Okay? So they haven't lived a human form. Then when you go underneath and you're dealing with demonic, they've never lived either. So they've always been demonic. We have to have yin and yang here. We have to have the good and the bad in society, unfortunately. And usually you won't encounter them, but certain situations are fucking things up right now, like COVID, because they're bringing them out. So I'll tell you about these. A, they've never lived. B, their goal is like what you see in the movies, to find a host. Because they want to take over, they want to be in a body, they want to live a life, cause shit, do shit. Fuck yeah. But they can't just like jump in. There's a process to it. So the process is that they find an object. It's always an object. Hence why we have the museum. These have all been possessed. They find something that they can attach themselves to. Then they find the host. So they try to get the host asphyxiated on the object, where you can't stop thinking about it. You can't stop going near it. You can't stop wondering what's going on. Why, like, I love this thing. I have this like serious attachment. Then that starts breaking you down to the point that they can come out of the object and into the body. So people who are depressed, people who have serious mental health issues. I gotta go see my kid. She's in the psych ward, and I'm like dreading it because 99% of the people on the psych ward are dealing with this kind of shit. It isn't just mental health, right? And it's hard to be around people like that. Really difficult when you're intuitive. Depressed, sick, chronic illness, chronic pain, whatever. As long as they can get into the host. So you have to have obsession first, then possession. Usually it doesn't ever get to possession. Because there's people like me that come and like, oh, fuck, that's gotta go. I must have been at that house and just been like, that.
You were with me?
did an exorcism that night, or
Yeah.
was it after?
No, we did an exorcism the next night. We took all the shit out first.
And then did this. Exorcisms are different for everybody who does them. If I'm doing an exorcism on somebody, are you moving that chair?
I asked
Oh.
if you wanted to go further.
Probably bumped it.
Okay, I'm just wondering if it was me.
Let me just pull this chair out here.
Yeah, we can.
If somebody phones me and they say they're very Christian, like the woman that we got this from, Catholic. She was Catholic. So I did a Catholic exorcism for her. I had crosses. I'm not Catholic. I'm not Christian. I'm not nothing. Well, I'm a witch. I'm not. But I will do that because that is where their belief system is, right? So we had crosses, we had rosaries, we had holy water from a priest, we had all of that. And I used everything to do it that way. When you see a priest do it, they, like on the movies, they do it by casting the demon out of the body, right? And then the person's okay, and away they go. I don't do that. I'm completely ass backwards and fucking psychotic, honestly, because I take the demon inside of me. Because I don't want that shit going out. Like, what's the point? You cast the demon out and then it goes and catches the kid on the corner? Like, that's not cool. So I take the demon, do the internal fighting, and send it back to where it's gotta go after it gets sick of fighting. That's why I get so sick when I do exercise, because literally I'm possessed for a while. I'm almost possessed.
Is it hot in here?
No, I'm freezing.
I like it.
That's the other thing with ghosts. You'll experience different things. You're gonna have different drops in temperature, either really, really cold or really, really hot. You'll have different sensations. Some people like get physically ill, that they have to throw up. Some people feel like they're high. That's fun.
Is that what happened?
Yeah. There's tons of different things. So that's, do you have any questions about that? I'm trying to do a 3-day class in half an hour. Does it make sense? None of the shit that I brought is going to possess you. Well, that's good. It's all locked up. So all the stuff I didn't know I had, like here, they're all in here. The spirits are in this. This is what we call a Dybbuk box.
Guess I shouldn't have opened it, eh?
You didn't, did you?
Oh, no.
No, I didn't.
Fuck me.
No, we're gonna say, fuck it, she can deal with it.
No, because he's letting us come here. We have a neighbor.
They say how to obey to like protect yourself like from that stuff, you know, like don't give them permission.
Right.
And like
Get the tattoos like I'm supernatural.
no,
I'm kidding.
you know, like you can just like
Yes, and deny. Always deny. It's tricky with kids because you don't want to shut their like intuition down, right? But in the same breath, like we'll just use Bill because he's like a fucking kid. Last night when he's like crying, but babe, I'm not gonna be able to sleep. I gotta work in the morning. Shut the fuck up. Go somewhere else. It's fine. You're fine. Oh, no, you're fine. There's nothing gonna hurt you. But literally, I saw this demon like coming over. But that's the best thing to do is be deny. Okay, this isn't happening. This is in my head. The more that you think about it, like it's probably really happening. But the more that you like, oh fuck, it's stupid, I'm not dealing with this, not happening, it won't affect you. And you do things like smudging,
crystals. You that told me that if you feel like it's bugging you, just tell it to leave me alone.
Yeah, you tell them, fuck off.
Are there different types of demons? Like there's different types of ghosts?
There's different levels. Like, I've got a whole fucking dictionary full of demon names. There's a million of them. And it all just depends on which one is flying through. Like, the first 3 exorcisms we did was in the same family. And they all had the same demon going from host to host. And it was the one that looks like, have you seen The Grudge? The girl with the long black hair.
Yeah.
She's actually a demon. Like, if you look in the books, there's, I can't remember her name, but she's the one that had her, fuck, she was a nasty bitch. And she looks just like that. She's from Japan. That one.
So would it be like the different levels of angels? Same with demons?
Demons are demons. I think they're just gonna be, it depends on the host. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As to what they're gonna, how they're gonna take over. Lucifer is not a demon, by the way.
He's an angel.
He's a
It's a puppy.
He's a puppy. Yeah, in my room.
You know, when I say that, I was like, hot. I'm feeling pretty sick at the moment.
I eat gravel like fucking bubble gum. My God's like, I'll be dead by the time I'm 60 for sure. Any other questions?
What about paralysis?
Sleep paralysis is when you are sleeping. When you sleep, your soul comes out of your body. Just like it would if you die. It comes out of your body. It can go halfway up to heaven, is what I just call it. It's the other side. It can go halfway up there, and your people that have died can come halfway down and meet you, and you do weird things that you're like, why the fuck are we here?
Is that a deja vu?
No, deja vu is past life. That's past life. But you're out, you're floating around. That's why, and lots of kids have it, where they feel like they can fly. Because your soul can fly, right? I used to always dream as a kid, I wasn't dreaming, I was on my body, that I was on like an ET bicycle that could fly in the air. And could go all over the place. That's out of body. Usually, your conscious brain kicks in when it's time to wake up and starts bringing you back from that, and you just wake up, and you might not even remember it, right? Sometimes something triggers your brain activity to wake up before your soul's back in. That's where sleep paralysis comes in.
Do you remember me telling you in school that like I did not sleep last night because like someone sat on my bed and I literally rolled over and I could not move?
Yeah.
And,
You can't move because your soul isn't in your body to trigger your brain to move. Our bodies don't move because unless our brains are telling us to move. Right? That's why when you have a stroke or something and you can't move, because your brain's not working. So if you wake up because something triggered there that you need to be conscious, but your soul's not back in, you're paralyzed. You'll still see things like that are weird. You'll feel darkness. You might feel like somebody's holding you down. That could all be very actually positive things. It could be your guides that are trying to help you, but you feel like you're being pushed out. It's terrifying. It's terrifying when it happens. The best thing to do is to stay calm and try and get yourself back into your body. So start thinking about logical things, or try to go back to sleep. One of the two, when it's happening. It's the same thing like when you're just starting to fall asleep and you slam. I do it every night. Drives me
This
nuts.
morning, I did it last night.
Oh, and then it wakes me up and I'm like, fuck, gotta go have a smoke.
What about?
That's because you were about to go, but you were still too conscious and came back in too fast.
So what about like when I mentioned like, when I was on my grandma's stairs and I felt like I was floating, you said that was out of body, but I was completely awake.
It's still out of body. How old were you?
Like 4?
That's why.
Yeah.
When you're 4, you can disassociate like that all the time.
I just thought it was because of my brain being different because I'm epileptic and I was.
Epilepsy, though, does impact the psychic
Yeah.
side of things.
Because I was diagnosed probably like a year or so later.
Yeah. Anything that affects your brain will affect how you are intuitively. Yeah. Okay, so let's show some objects.
What do you want to start with?
I don't know where you got everything hidden. Surprised me.
Alright.
So this is all what you take out of the house?
They were sitting on the chair.
And what?
Are we sitting on one?
No. I want this couch here.
I know, I like
It's
it.
comfy.
It's super comfy.
She won't give it to me. Oh, she's gonna
The
start
model.
little.
The price is right.
Ta-da!
So, sometimes this is why I like showing these. The stupidest things can get possessed. Everybody thinks it's like the doll on the rocking horse or the old phone. But the stupidest things can actually take on demonic. I don't know what that. So what you're seeing there are sewing needles. The story behind the sewing needles is pretty funny. The owner went up to Nipawin, where her family was from, and they had a little museum there. And when she went in, she realized that half the shit in the museum was like her great-great-grandma's. And she's like, this is bullshit. Like, this is all my grandma's shit. So she wanted some of her grandma's stuff. So she went into the sewing machine and stole the sewing needles. And walked out of the museum with sewing needles. Didn't think anything of it. She just wanted a piece of her grandma. Came home, and she had to go on a business trip that next week. So her husband was home. She had the sewing needles. She kept them in the drawer in the bed in the table by her bed. Her husband phoned her while she was gone, and he said, I can't sleep. And she's like, well, why? And he's like, I don't know. And now he's highly psychic himself. He's like, I don't know, I've got insomnia, like I can't sleep, everything's going weird. And she said, well, we'll talk about it when I get home. She came home 3 days later, and she said when she walked in, she didn't even recognize him. Like, he looked completely different. He hadn't eaten since she left. And he had been sleeping on the living room floor because he couldn't go to the bedroom. She's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? So she thought, oh, sewing needles, maybe that's something. So she messaged me, she's like, what should I do? I said, bury the fucking sewing needles somewhere deep and leave it. Just be done with it. She didn't even tell him. And he was doing great. He was doing so much better. And then she had to go away again to Ottawa for another business trip. And he phoned her. And he said, it's happening again. can't eat, I'm throwing up all the time. I can't sleep in the bedroom. Like he had to call off work, and the guy has never missed a day of work. I was home, and she's like, I think he's just fucked. She comes home, she goes in the house, and the sewing needles are sitting on the counter. She buried them, like 3 feet down, in a garden, covered and put like a boulder on top. And she's like, where the fuck did you get these? He said, well, I saw a plastic bag. He said, I don't know. I just felt like something was making me go to the garden, and I saw this baggie sticking out of the ground, and I pulled it out, and I seen it. And I brought it in because I thought they were yours, and I thought it was neat to show you. So she started smudging them. Came and brought me the needles, then smudged him, and as she's smudging him, there's a big graphic, he turned around to her. She said it was just like off one of the movies where their heads go crooked, and he said, I'm supposed to tell you to smudge my dick. And he never talks like that.
Wow.
And he's like, suck my dick. And she's like, fuck you, I'm leaving. I am not sucking your dick. I don't know what's coming out of that dick. We ain't doing it. But since I've had the needles and he's all cleared up, he's good. There's a good example. What's next? Well, I already explained. She was possessed by this grudge thing with how weird shit hidden in her house. This is all the weird shit.
Okay, pictures next.
Oh, good. Yeah, Nicole will just show you these guys.
Yeah, she's going naked.
Everyone fucking hates her.
Excuse me. Thank you.
This is the part that we're using dolls, not talking about that other one where the porcelain dolls
Yeah.
come to life.
It's funny because when I look at her now, she doesn't look at me anymore. Like I swear, like.
You had it out with her.
Yeah.
However, since you've seen her, she keeps fucking taking her clothes off.
You look kind of naked.
She was fully dressed, but she's been hanging out with Mr. Rape Cow. So she was brought to me from a woman who is Ukrainian. And in their heritage, they don't get inheritance, they get items gifted down to them as their people die. Her aunt was about to die, and she said, you need to take your doll. This is your doll. She's like, oh, thanks, bye. Took the doll home, put it in, because she said she felt freaked out by it, put it in like a Tupperware bin, put it in the garage, up high on the shelf. The next day she came out to the garage to go somewhere, and the fucking doll was standing in the middle of the garage. So she went inside and did what normal good women do, accuse their husband, right? What the hell are you doing? Take my doll out and put it in the middle of the garage. And they're like, what doll? Like, what's wrong with you? So she did it again. Put the doll away, hid it in a different spot. Next day, same thing. Doll was standing there. So, doll's been in my house. Very promiscuous demonic energy that's within her. She'd be very similar. You guys are so young. Have you heard of The Entity, the movie? If you can ever watch it, watch it. It's a true story where a woman was raped multiple times. Very similar to that kind of demonic energy that she has in her. She's like, is she? Are you gonna, is he next?
No, he's over there. This is the chair.
Oh, the chair. I was thinking of the chair.
The chair wants to be.
You okay there, Vanna?
It doesn't want to be, wants to be hidden.
Yeah, it doesn't want to be attached.
Okay, so the chair comes from out on a farm by Raymore?
Yeah.
Yeah. They built this fucking beautiful brand new house on land. It was family land. And they had the old house, like the settler house, on the same land too. And they kept wanting to go to the old house and not hang out in the new house, and they couldn't figure it out. And every time they went there, they smelled like bread. They could hear like drums, like native drums, they thought. They didn't really feel all that threatened until their kids started acting really weird, where she was sleepwalking, walking out of the house in the middle of the field, saying that she was following stuff. So we went in, did some clearing of that old house, and it was clear as day that there was this like little child, like the energy was like a child, and it was like I saw clearly that a little boy had actually died from this demonic energy, and that I could see a well, that he was pushed into a well by this demonic energy and he died. So I said to them, do you have a well here? And she's like, oh my fucking God, we just covered it up with concrete. I'm like, cool. So we went into, because they didn't have a basement, it was like homestead girls. And they had a crawl space, and I made Nicole, I'm too tall for this shit. I made Nicole go into the back, and through a wall. Like she had to actually break a hole in the wall. And sitting right there in this hole in the wall was that chair and a ball.
Tell them what happened to the ball.
What happened to the ball?
It disappeared.
Yeah, we haven't enough on the ball. I think the little boy that died loves that ball. So he kept the ball. The little boy that died on the land was not the demon. The demon is the one that pushed him in. So we got that chair. You girls, what can you get enough? You know what's coming next there. You don't have to take them down, just take the fucking cover off. We're not carrying them around. This is Moo Moo. Moo Moo is a rapist.
No, yeah.
No, he really is, yeah. And it is really neat, because I've had them in my garage since because the kids refuse to have them in the house now. Absolutely refuse. They won't have him, they won't have the doll. They were like, we put up with too much shit. We're not doing this. You take those two out at least. So she's been sitting on top of him in my garage, where I sit all day. And ever since she's been sitting on top of him, her clothes keep falling off. I'm good with that. I'm not saying it's derogatory. Moo Moo is definitely our most fucked up. Definitely our most fucked up one. He came to me from a young lady that was given him from a boyfriend at the fair. You know? Throw balls. And she's an adult, like, that was like when she was a teenager. She's had him all these years. she went to school in, this is where I was it Minnesota or Minneapolis?
Minnesota.
Minnesota? Minnesota. Went to school there and she stayed on the dorms. After being there, there is, I have to message her and I'll tell you guys exactly where it is. But it's actually been investigated by paranormal big TV shows and stuff. This dormitory. So she had Moo with her, and she had a roommate, and they were in the dorm. And her roommate got really sick, and she was sick for a week. And the roommate ended up having appendicitis and having to go in for emergency surgery. So she went to the hospital, had her appendectomy, whatever, and came back to the dorm to heal, whatever. And she was there the day, and then 3 o'clock in the morning, because they were all letting her like have space, and there was only like a few of them there because she was sick, so they were out like in the commons area watching TV and shit. 3 o'clock, she said they saw her come out of the room, crumpled over, with her suitcase rolling behind her, and she walked up the doors. And they tried to call her back. She got into a cab. Tried to call her back. Tried to do whatever. Her sister phoned because they were panicked about what was going on. Her sister phoned them. Her sister and mom phoned the girl that had this guy and said that she was home. They flew her home. And that there was a pending investigation, criminal investigation for rape, because somehow she was raped when there was nobody there. She clearly said that the cow, she was laying there with the cow, and this black mist came out of the cow, big, overpowered her, raped her. They have physical evidence. That's why the police were involved. Her legs were covered in fingerprints, bruised, but more like claws. Her vagina was torn. She was raped. But there was no, it was all female dorm. So there was nobody there, and it was obviously thrown out. So she kept him still. She liked her cow, I guess. Not the one that got raped, the one that owned him. And she brought him back to Regina, and she was having years and years of night terrors, feeling the same thing. Finally, she gave him to me and told me this stuff. So, the first night we got Moo, I did, Nicole. This is what happened. When you join my team, you're fucked. Because I just sit there. Threw him in my shed. And she salted this shed because we didn't have anything to put him in yet. And I was in bed with Bill, watching hockey. And my 18-year-old, who was 16 years old at the time, walked into my room, and she likes to smoke dope. She's a little bit hot, and she's like, Mom, we went out and looked at all the new stuff you got in the shed. I showed my friend Amina. I'm like, oh? She's like, what's that cow? I'm like, oh, fuck. And as she's talking to me, she said, I got a really weird vibe, and she started, like, rubbing her crotch. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, Bill is, like, right there, and he's like, what the fuck? It was like she was itchy. And I'm like, you don't do that in front of people. And she's like, I don't fucking know. Like, I'm tingling. She didn't know about that. What the cow did. So I'm like, get the fucking phone, Nicole. Get your fucking ass back here. Because we got a problem. So after I told her, she sobered up. We got the cow put away, safety dog. But that night, when I went to bed, I woke up, it was the beginning of COVID, right?
Very beginning.
Yeah, it was, and I was choking, like choking. I would wake up every hour choking, and I never had that problem. Bill sat straight up every time. He's like, "What's choking you? What's choking you?" And then he would go back to sleep. He has no recollection of that happening at all that night. And I made a Facebook post saying, "Pretty sure I got COVID," because I woke up last night choking 4 times. The old owner of the cow messaged me and she said, "Holy fuck. I've been getting tested every 2 weeks because I thought I've had COVID. Because I wake up choking. Now that he's gone, I'm good." So he's a dick.
Should have brought that mirror too.
Moo the raping cow. What's that? Just no. This was my first possession. This was my first exorcism that I did. A long time ago. I had a mom phone me who was really worried about her daughter. Her daughter was in med school. Her daughter had a baby at 24 weeks, passed away while she was pregnant, and she was grieving, obviously, this baby. And she was in med school. She was highly educated, almost at the end. And the mother was extremely worried about her daughter, obviously, because she said she's depressed. Can you give her a reading? Can you connect with the baby? That's what we thought this was going to be. Till she told me that when I talked to the daughter, that she didn't need a medium because she talked to her daughter that was born stillborn every day. I said, "Oh, how do you do that?" With my Ouija board. Fuck. So I'm like, "How's your health?" She's like, "Oh, I'm great." And the mom's like, "She's dropped 40 pounds in a month and a half. She's not eating, she's not drinking, she's not sleeping. She literally was staying up and would nod out and get back up like you were like on nap or something to be on that Ouija board to talk to her daughter." So we did do the exorcism with her, and it was pretty violent. That was like a puking green soup kind of. She ended up having to go to the hospital for a little while, not psych ward, but to get like hydrated and stuff. She's doctor now, doctor in Saskatchewan. But that's why you don't play with Ouija boards. Even if they're pink or blue in the kids aisle. The reason that Ouija boards are dangerous and other things like pendulums and stuff are not is because Ouija was born out of voodoo. That's people who practice voodoo made it to summon demons. So it carries that intent, whether it's pink or blue or brand new or ancient. So don't fuck with them.
My friends and like at Banter, someone brought a Ouija board. I'm like, uh-oh.
Yeah, I still see people fucked up from childhood.
Never do the shame one and you make one and I'm like, "Hey, you guys have fun."
Yeah. But I love them. Like everything I have is Ouija. I love Ouija tables. I love. Where are you going?
I put one way back here.
What
I'm
is it?
thinking.
What is it?
Crystals?
Oh, that's That's simple. That's just another good example of how good things can get possessed. So just because you have crystals laying around your house doesn't mean that you're protected, because they can get attached to the crystals. Oh yeah, I'm stuck with this story. Another farm, a woman's 5-year-old son was doing the same thing, not sleeping, not, he'd get up, walk around, they'd find him with knives, trying to start fires, stuff like that. And they had a man with a hat that would present himself. So the only thing that she could tell me that was different in his room was that they put these crystals in. So the demonic energy attached to the crystals that were there to protect him and started a pre-possession of the child till those were gone. And then he's been fine since. I'm not saying don't get crystals, I got crystals everywhere, but don't get a demon. And there was a lot of like domestic violence in the home. Like if you have a lot of negativity, addictions, domestic violence, anger, that will bring demons. Hence why COVID, everybody's fighting. I've got all these fucking possessions of people.
Yeah, I was gonna say with the negativity and anger,
It's
bad vibes all
feeding
around.
ground for these motherfuckers.
Hey.
Yeah, you're gonna explain this one in.
I got a call from a client that her daughter was talking to nobody and acting a little strange. And she was worried and wanted me to come out and check it out and give her place a smudge. So I went out, walked around, and I felt some uneasiness somewhere, but I couldn't really figure out what it was. So I smudged her house. When I was in the basement, I was in the bathroom, and I was smudging in there. Something pushed me, so my smudge bowl and the sage and everything went into the tub. So did I. And I started swearing, of course. Told the kids to get upstairs so that they stay safe. And I finished doing the whole house, and then I'm just like, no, that's not it. There's something else, something more here. So I walked around in her garage, and I smudged in the garage, and she showed me that she had this shed there. Now had some roommates there for a while, and they had some of their stuff in there. So when I went in this shed, I found these things. Apparently her roommates found these in a field, buried, but just poking out a little bit, and they decided to unbury them all and take them home with them. Yeah, they're not nice at all. You touch them and you just get a very bad vibe from them. So once I removed it, her little girl is back to normal. The oldest one didn't want to go to school. She thought her mom was going to die. So, and she's back in school now. Everything is normal at the house, and now they're moved to Alberta, and they are living happily ever after. The house is perfectly fine that they were living into.
Was that a milestone?
Yeah.
Rule number 1, if you see something buried,
Leave it there.
Yeah, it's buried for a reason.
we bury shit as witches all the time. Don't pick it up. Don't take it home. Don't, because like some of it is really nasty curses and shit. I mean, you don't want that. So.
And these guys were nasty. When I touched them, they were nasty.
it, right?
Yep, that's it.
You have any questions about those? Any of them? Anything? Okay, where's your tools?
Right behind you.
Okay, so like we said, this place is haunted. This church is haunted. I guess it's too dark to go to the cemetery, right?
No, it's not.
You can go to the
No?
cemetery.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
Just checking with the boss.
Yeah, I guess I should ask her too.
If you can find it, you can go.
Nicole can maybe she knows it by heart by now.
We need a vintage camcorder and do like a witch
That's what it feels like in there.
I have
Once
an
you get
app on
into
my
it.
phone, we can pretend.
So there's tons of tools that you can use in ghost hunting. These won't necessarily be used with anything demonic. I mean, they get this, but that's a completely different energy. People who are not into ghost hunting, you can use things like your camera on your phone. You're gonna get your best stuff from your phone because they're so high tech now. And you'll be able to capture things with your phone, video, audio. Honestly, our favorite tool and the best one for the sessions is a fucking digital recorder. We always set them up in somebody's house. It's just a recorder. We always set them up in somebody's house the night before we go in to do something, just to see if we can pick up anything. And shit, we get it. So these are really good.
This one's another good one.
Yeah, that's our. What's that, Nicole? She always calls it the ovulator. Ovulus. So basically what it is it captures high frequency sounds. And it's got a dictionary inside and it will go speak. So there's a spirit in here that just said speak. So this will tell you what the spirits are trying. Minute. Speak in a minute. So you can't hear them, but this can pick up on all of that. We got some really good ones on ghost tours, didn't we?
The speak part. My grandfather used to stand on that pulpit and speak to the crowd.
I think you said that before.
Mm-hmm.
So you just leave it on, you let it go. You guys are gonna get to take these into the graveyard too. Just don't put them on. Judge.
Judgment.
L?
Minachi. L.
The hell is triangle? Oh, okay. There you just gonna keep talking. This is a EMF reader.
No, it's K2.
K2. It says EMF. K2 EMF. Dummy. Same shit. It will pick up on. Does this one pick up on electrical shit?
Yeah, you gotta be careful on that, but you won't find that in the graveyard. So. Do you have electrical stuff in the graveyard?
No. This usually goes crazy in the graveyard though. But you'll see it light up. Right? As you're getting closer to. This is a thermometer, right?
Yeah.
So like we were talking before.
That just gives the temperature.
If I felt like if somebody was like, oh, there's a ghost there, I'd go like that. It's gonna see the temperature. Yeah. It's fucking cold in here. Not anymore.
I'm hot.
Whoa!
26 degrees.
She's been working.
You got shivers?
She did it, yeah.
25, man. I'm 28. Anyways, that's what we do with this. Then,
I love this thing.
yeah, me too. The battery's cool. Where's the back?
Turn it on.
I know, but where's the back?
It fell off.
Okay, so this is a flare. I'll show you guys first. You can see that there's bodies. It's like infrared. So see how you can see their bodies?
Yeah.
And you can just like there's something like that.
That doll.
No.
So you can see the doll.
Oh, I almost got it! Hold on. The chicken bone here. You can see her face and then her outline. Go ahead.
Can I see that, please?
Yep. Jesus.
No, he died.
Long, long time ago.
Okay.
I can still remember.
I see. Okay. Like I can see because I knew that you and I can see her there, but like
It's a she.
so that's what that is. So now you guys can investigate.
These
Now
are
about a shirt.
EMF readers.
Yeah, say
You just turn on, they are really boring, tells you safe, which means that nothing's around. I can't even read it.
danger caution.
Yeah, the caution
You guys
is
say
like, they're close, but not too bad, and danger is like right on there.
Yeah, they'll call me.
Okay.
Who wants the temperature thing?
Be careful with these tools, please.
You guys all gotta share this, but who wants to share?
I'm 34.
Holy shit.
But I don't feel confident.
And
You want this one?
oh,
What do we have?
okay, so turn around here and see what you feel. Do you want to tell the history about this place? Good thing you didn't know.
Well, a couple of things that happened when I was putting the plaques back up. I think somebody was happy, but my ladder moved a couple times, and when I was at the opposite end, the cables, the drop-down pieces, started swaying, things like that. The man whose parents built this place lives in Nassau, Bahamas. His name is Kim Smith. He asked me if he could put his mom's ashes out here. And it was Thanksgiving weekend. And I came home and I could smell chocolate cake. And I didn't know why. I thought my son was doing something, so I ran downstairs. There was nobody around, and I could still smell chocolate cake. So I said to Kim the next day, I said, it was really weird, you know. I woke up at 4 a.m., I could smell chocolate cake. Just a minute, he says. Calls his sister, we get on Skype together. Tell her what you told me. Woke up at 4, I could smell chocolate cake. It was overwhelming. I was like hungry. And she said, oh my God, my mom was famous for her chocolate cake. She would get up at 4 a.m., make it, bake it, ice it, and cool it and everything, have it ready for 8 a.m. service in this church. And her ashes are around here somewhere. I'm not sure where. But when Robyn's crew came out last time, they were getting things like eggs, chocolate, stuff like that you don't normally get on one of your gadgets, right? and it was really freaky because I was sitting there I was relating and she didn't know anything about it. She had no idea that the ashes were here, right? Anyway, so if you get things like eggs and you hear really strange baking kind of things.
This church is 1901?
6. The one I live in is a 1901. This is 1906 Anglican Church. My grandfather's parish, first parish in Cupar. I found out after I bought it, and we were hauling it home. And my mom said, well, that's Grandpa's first parish. I was like, okay then.
I know, I want to buy it.
I want to put a loft up there, and 2 bedrooms up in the steeple, and a stairwell going across a swinging bridge, so I can change the light bulbs.
Well, how are you going to do that if I buy it for money?
Yeah, well, you got enough money, you could probably buy the whole place.
Are you still 35?
No, Go down the hill.
Yep, definitely.
What? Lisa?
Yeah. Contrition?
Contrition means like scramble.
Maybe that's what Grandfather's collar did, was strangle him.
Ooh, it's really cold over there. Yeah, it's cold over there. Is your name Lisa? You're all right.
He's like, you get the one that goes danger.
Here you go.
Just because I'm the tallest doesn't mean that I'm. That's why we need Santa. We need Santa.
Robyn?
Yeah.
Do you ever let people hold something and see if they feel
Oh, yeah.
something from it?
Yeah.
Yeah? Are you
Yeah,
ever...
You guys want to like touch any, other than like
The ones that are boxed.
the ones that are boxed, don't touch, but if you want to like hold it and get a feeling for whatever's there, except in this box.
You like went white when she said the shit. It's like, oh no.
Yeah. Sitting here.
My exorcisms were not cheap, so don't get possessed.
When I was sitting here, I was like, I don't know, my throat.
I used to be able to
It's
recite.
like choking
Yeah.
or something.
I used to be able to recite like the exorcism chant that they do in Supernatural, but I haven't watched it in so long. Forgive me.
That's not even.
I know it's not great. It's just because you watch it so much. It was one of those shows I binge watched all the time, and then I took it off Netflix, and I'm like, I hate you right now because that's like my eye candy show. I just watch it for the eye candy.
Yeah, I've heard.
I'm at the age now where I'm like, I could do the boys' order.
Yeah.
I'm 32. Not that old.
Well, actually, the guy who plays their dad is only like 10 years older than the actual
You know, you got a little sparkly right here. It's been shining all night.
Really?
Yeah.
Sparkly. I don't even look at brown
On the oh
the blanket.
oh, there you go. I was like right here. By scratching, can I win a prize?
Sorry, like you
Oh,
play
yeah.
that.
And you tell there's nothing there.
She opens up her
Oh,
eyes
that's
and
so crazy.
He sent that video.
And there's nothing there.
He sent that video to me on Snapchat. And so when I looked at it, I seen that, and I was like, we had just gotten a cat. It was like the day before, but it wasn't there. And then so I didn't want to screen record. So I grabbed my daughter's phone and I recorded it. Yeah. And then I started like,
Yeah.
what was in that video? Yeah.
don't worry, I'm watching. I'm on.
I'm like, watch the video again.
What's touching her?
Yeah.
I'm standing
But
on
like,
an
when
angle.
we,
Look, I'm standing on an angle.
Yeah, sure.
What?
So, yeah.
I'm gonna go backwards.
Sitting on
I wish they would have shored up this church better.
And I said, it's hot in here. I thought, I'm real ill.
Oh, yellow. Oh, one red.
Welcome. The good news is that you
No, but I do feel
yeah, when
like
Nicole gets in,
sometimes
I'm gonna get her.
it goes like crazy. Like
I'm right here.
I feel kind of
Oh,
crazy
can
right
you
now,
take
so.
them on to the cemetery?
Okay.
What's cemetery?
Oh,
Alright.
okay, that's why we have these
No,
things.
she's got
Pause.
cemetery on her land here.
Just a house.
Yeah.
Why have we got these things?
Okay. All right, outside we're going.